Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Merry Christmas. I'm currently somewhere else visiting family, so the video's in a different place. But as I was traveling, the story that I had read the last time was updated. So I figured I'd come back on here and read you guys the update. So without further ado, so this one, so it's the security guard one. Um, Update 2, so it's from the same person, Mr. Outlaw, which I will also put in the link like I do with all my other videos, so that you guys can follow along if you'd like. So let's get started. The events that have transpired over the past week have taught me that I really don't know much about the world. But I do know one thing. I couldn't stay at Jack's anymore. The few days I've been here have pretty much consisted of me simply lounging around. I'll admit it. I am scared shitless to go back into the city. All I know is that my copy hasn't been tracking me. I'm not entirely sure how he found me at the police station, but what matters is that he can't find me now. But a new problem has presented itself. I think somebody else is looking for me. Last night, I was having a cigarette on the back porch when I noticed some kind of disruption in the crowd. It was dark, and I wasn't really paying good initial attention, so I didn't catch it until it was uncomfortably close. Something was moving around in there, making its way towards the house. I was on extreme edge at this point, so I immediately ran back in. I told Jack what I'd seen, and he subsequently stormed out there with his shotgun. I waited, tense for what felt like 15 minutes, and then I was jarred by a booming slug. And then another one. Jack rushed back in, eyes frantic, and locked the door behind him. "What the fuck?" he said, sounding petrified. "Don't tell me they're after you." "What'd you see? Did it look like me?" I asked him. He shook his head. "What? No, like some dudes in body armor or some shit. I don't know. Look, if they're after you, then you best speak up." That was the issue. I didn't know who the hell he was talking about. The situation suddenly escalated when I saw flashing red and blue coming from outside. The cops were here as well, presumably drawn in by the gunshots. "Oh, fucking Christ," Jack blurted out. "All my shit's here. They better not snoop around." And then he turned to me. "Look, if something's going on with you, then you should probably leave." "Leave?" I asked him in disbelief. "There's cops out front, and weird armored fucking people in the back. Where am I supposed to go?" He shrugged. "I don't know." We could hear heavy footsteps making their way up to his front door. "Suppose you could take your chances and hide here. Can't stop you now." And then they started knocking. I made my way upstairs while Jack opened the door and talked to the cops. As I hid in one of the bedrooms, I eavesdropped on the conversation. It started out calm enough, but it escalated rather quickly. All of their voices started raising at an exponential rate. It sounded like Jack was on the defensive about something. I could make out what he was saying, albeit barely. "There's no one here." All of a sudden, footsteps began storming up the stairs. I didn't have time to ask what the fuck. They were looking for me, and for too many obscure reasons to probably count. I opened up the window and jumped out before they could find me. While I was out there, I considered attempting to steal the police car, but I suppose I wasn't ballsy enough. Instead, I simply started running. I knew that there was another town that was about a 2-hour drive from where I was, but in terms of walking, well, let's just say that I had a trek ahead of me. After about an hour of walking along the empty road at night, a truck stopped for me. Now, under normal circumstances, there was no way in hell that I would have gone with this guy. To put it bluntly, he looked like a serial rapist. But the situation at hand seemed to necessitate it. Plus, it started to feel like I was being followed. "You going somewhere, bud?" the driver asked with a black-toothed grin. I smiled back. "Yeah, you down to give me a lift?" Unsurprisingly, he did not go where I was directing him. Instead, leading me down some sketchy trail, I started anticipating what my first move was going to be. I'd taken a pocket knife from Jack's house and was clutching it in my hand as he drove. I decided that the time was right when he stopped us in front of a rusty shack. "All right," he said, sounding comically foreboding. "Time to get out." I could see him start reaching into his pocket, but I was faster. One jab to the rib and he was screaming. I followed up by elbowing him in the face and dumping his squirming body on the ground outside. but not before I took his wallet. As I started driving away, I could see about 4 more equally sketchy-looking dudes coming out of the shack. I shuddered, not really wanting to think about what they had in store for me. In any case, I had bigger issues at hand. I drove to the town that I was talking about earlier and used some cash I'd taken from the guy's wallet to rent a motel for a few nights. Whilst I was sitting in my dingy accommodation, I started trying to put the pieces together. My copy was trying to kill me. There are multiple versions of my copy. There were dudes in armor roaming around in Jack's crops. The cops were looking for me, and I really couldn't go back to my apartment. Nope, I had no fucking clue where this was going. Feeling frustrated, I decided to head out for a few drinks. The motherfucker had around $600 in his wallet, so I was going to splurge on a few Heinekens. I'd also found a small revolver in his truck, so I took it with me. Safe to say, I wasn't feeling safe. I made my way over to the tavern and sat at the bar. I ordered 2 beers and some chicken wings, 'cause why not? Just as I was getting relaxed, the bartender seemed to recognize me. "Hey, you again," he said to me. Oh God, no, I thought to myself. Apparently my copy had been here earlier, presumably looking for me. "How long ago?" I asked him. Looking confused, he responded, "About 10 minutes ago? You don't remember? 10 minutes? Shit." Feeling a bit nauseous, I went to the washroom and weighed my options. I suppose that it made sense to stay, given the fact that the copy had already left. He wouldn't have any reason to come back, right? As it turns out, wrong. Out of nowhere, I started getting a headache, and then my vision went wonky. I mean, I could still see, but my sight was distorted? Best way I can put it. It quickly subsided, but the nuisance was replaced by sounds of commotion coming from the bar. Sounded like somebody was arguing about something. Sounded like I was arguing about something. It was my voice. It was him. The bathroom door suddenly kicked open and somebody walked in, eventually coming to a stop right outside my stall door. I wasn't taking any chances. I pulled out the revolver and fired off 2 rounds right then and there. I was met with surprise-labored groans as I climbed out up top. I landed right beside him, right beside my copy. This was the first time that we'd stared at each other down directly. Staring into my own hate-filled eyes was something of an abstract feeling. Sure as hell didn't feel right. The headache and vision problem began coming back. I could tell that it was affecting him as well. It also looked like he was wearing a bulletproof vest, so that explained why he was still standing. Fight or flight, I thought. In extremely quick deliberation, yielded flight. I fired off another round at him, the bullet narrowly grazing his ear, before running the hell out of there, into the confused and horrified faces of the bar patrons. Behind me, he fired off a few shots of his own, but luckily none of them connected. Zigzagging my way through streets and alleys, I took a convoluted route back to the motel parking lot, where I got into my commandeered vehicle and floored it out of there. I only made it about half an hour before the shitty fucking truck broke down. It then took 2 more hours of walking in order to reach civilization again. Another small town and another dingy motel. That's where my current situation has placed me. Obviously, I don't see an end in sight here. I'm on constant high alert, adrenaline fueling my paranoia. I think it's paid off, honestly. I've seen the same black sedan drive past my window about 4 times now. Yep, the black sedan is definitely on my ass. How many fucking people are chasing me at this point? I couldn't find any spare revolver ammo in the truck, and I don't think buying a gun is feasible right now. Not like my shooting was any good regardless. The sedan just made its 7th trip past my window. Are they just taunting me at this point? Certainly feels like it. Also, I've been experiencing some weird shit. Not like more headaches or anything, but sometimes I'll blink and the lights in my room will suddenly become darker, or a window will move over a few inches. What do they call these? Glitches in the Matrix? Well, add them to my laundry list of problems. I've been forcing myself not to sleep, since I reckon these guys could probably just break in and shoot me in the head at any time. They know I'm in here, so I honestly don't know what they're waiting for. I've considered running off, but where am I going to go? They're obviously tracking me somehow, so that seems fruitless. I never remembered falling asleep at any point, but I must have. Given the fact that I was jarred awake by gunshots, I rushed over to my window and looked outside. seeing the sedan now riddled with bullet holes, and guess who'd done it? It was my copy. I'm not sure if he thought it was me inside the vehicle. Maybe he had multiple targets. Whatever. He was certainly after me now. I could feel another headache coming on. Not only that, but the room around me seemingly started to shrink. Still in a reasonably cognate state of mind, I told myself that it wasn't real. I knew that it wasn't real. It all came to a head when I saw a shadow passing by the curtains. In a rather irrational move, I fired a shot at it. Not really sure what I was thinking, but probably just pent-up frustration. I simultaneously missed and gave away my position. Still reeling from the headaches, I ran to the bathroom as I heard my door being knocked down. He was in. I hid in tense silence as I heard him walk around the bedroom. This wasn't going to work, I thought to myself. There weren't many rooms that he had to go through before finding me. 2 bullets left. I grasped the revolver as he approached the bathroom door. The last room that he hadn't checked. The door suddenly flung open, and I took my last 2 shots. Both misses. I was now concerned, and my headache was reaching near unbearable heights. In a last-ditch effort, I tried tackling him. Thankfully, it took him by surprise, and we went tumbling back into the bedroom, but that was about the extent of the fight I put up. I didn't have any combat experience after all, either on foot nor on the ground. He delivered a few blows to my stomach, and I was suddenly laid out on the carpet with him standing over me, aiming a pistol point blank at my temple. Wait, I asked him, trying to come to terms with my obscure loss. Look, you won, but could you do me a small favor and please explain to me what the fuck's been going on? He lowered his gun slightly before smirking. Yeah, sure. Least I could do. I got my answer, but I'm still not entirely sure if I fully understand it. He is me, not a clone. We were one and the same, just from different realities. He explained how the universe that he'd come from was considerably further ahead technology-wise than mine, far enough to the point where they nearly perfected a form of dimension hopping. But in his world, he was also a criminal, a large-scale thief. His most recent endeavor, stealing one of the devices that would allow somebody to traverse to different realities. Things went messy during his plan, and he was forced to use the device in order to orchestrate an extremely convoluted escape. Ultimately, he ended up here. But the problem with entering different realities lies in the fact that there will likely be another version of you, and that directly goes against the laws of the natural universe. You see, him and I are identical, but at the same time, we're not. There are subtle differences that set the realities apart, and when they start bleeding together, even in the slightest, the universe just can't accept it. At first, the problems are marginal, but the longer that 2 different versions of the same entity exist in one reality, the worse it gets. Not just for the 2 involved, but for the reality that they're in as a whole. That's why killing you was the top priority for me, he said to me. Nothing personal, that's a given, but I can't evade the fuckers that are trying to chase me if this reality begins falling apart. You've felt the headaches, haven't you? Seen the visions? That's the universe saying that one of us has gotta go. I can deal with everything else later, but for now, he raised his gun once more. This needs to end. For fuck's sake, I put my arms up in a defensive gesture. He hadn't explained everything yet, like why there were more than 1 copies of us in this reality, like the one he killed when I first stumbled upon the security footage. But we never had a chance to get to that. Drop the gun, a booming voice suddenly came out of nowhere. At first, I thought it was the police, but I threw that idea aside as I caught glimpses of who it was. 4 large men wearing what looked like expensive militarized suits of armor were pointing massive armaments at us. Across their chests were white letters. NC. My copy sighed. Oh shit. Before looking at me, eyes filled with annoyance, look what you've fucking done. The armored men talked amongst themselves before one of them approached us. He took out some kind of device with a holographic screen. Look into this, he said to me. Without much of another option, I obliged. staring into the center of the screen as the thing seemingly scanned my face. After a few seconds, it was over. "He's the correct version. Take the other one away," he said, before putting the device away. The rest of the men restrained and led my copy out the door. I could barely react as all of this was happening, simply standing dead still until the sun came up. When everything was said and done, I finally went back to my apartment, still in an extreme state of shock. I haven't made any contact with the police, nor have the police attempted any contact with me, so I'm not really sure where that's going. I suppose I should be glad that this whole ordeal seems to have concluded, but there's one thing that still disturbs me. The last I saw of my copy, he was smiling. Alright, well, that is the end of that one. The title of that, so there was two updates, so I just read both of them in this video. Um, that one was said that it was the final update, so there's probably not going to be any more to that, but we can always check back and see. But yeah, thank you for watching the video. If you liked it, subscribe or give the video a thumbs up. Leave a comment, tell me what you think. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Bye.